Sorry, Dennis. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you all to the Fayette County School Corporation Board of School Trustees Business Meeting. It's Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. We're here at the Administration Building. Once I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening, everybody. We're going to begin with a quick presentation by Rachel O'Brien. Rachel?
Hello. Good evening, everybody. I think Camden has made his rounds and already met everybody, but Camden Cox is our new executive chef at Chartwell's. This is officially his 1 month anniversary, I think, today, so he hasn't left yet, so he's doing well. Thank you. Doing really well. He has been with the Compass group for a while, so he's been with another sector. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him for a brief kind of introduction and overview of what he's done. So.
Hello, everyone. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So, as Rachel said, I've been with Compass Group now since 2009, so about 12 years. I worked for the senior dining sector, so I was, my final position for them was a regional / system chef, and I just went around kind of central Indiana, more of a fine dining aspect look of things when it comes to the senior dining in Indiana. So we were very upscale. These people had a lot of money and they wanted to spend it, so I enjoyed being their chef. But I needed better work-life balance, and so we decided to make the change to Chartwell's. I am from Columbus, Indiana, so I drive about an hour and 15 minutes every day to get here. So far, it's been absolutely fantastic. Everybody has been very welcoming, so I appreciate that. It makes my job a lot easier. But so far, we've already done a lot of different things. We've already started Discovery Kitchens back. We've done a smoothie bike presentation. We actually have another Discovery Kitchen tomorrow. So I've been kind of running for the first month. We've been, trying to get some initiatives that we haven't been doing over the last couple of years. We've been trying to get those going again. So I definitely have a lot of things to bring to the table. I graduated from the Chef's Academy in Indianapolis in 2012. About that time, I got promoted, started moving up within Compass. Last year, I got nominated as it's kind of a growth potential type thing that Morrison was doing. You had to get nominated to be a mentor or a student through that program, and I was nominated to be a mentor. I was one of 18 chefs across the country that got nominated. And we worked with the Culinary Institute of America out of Hyde Park in New York. And we worked with them and basically mentored 150 students through what was very similar to an associate's degree program. So it took 150 students, but managers throughout Compass, and kind of gave them an associate's degree for free. So I am a certified mentor as well through the CIA, the Culinary Institute. So I'm hoping to bring my knowledge and innovative, creative side to Chartwell's. I've got a lot of good ideas. I want to get certain projects going and really get involved with the kids. I've got 3 daughters myself, so the youth population is something I'm very passionate about. I coach youth sports as well in my downtime. So anything I can do to kind of get my hand in that cookie jar, I'm willing to do. But I'm hoping to get to know each and every one of you. If you ever need anything whatsoever, please don't hesitate to ask, and I will do my best to accommodate your every need. All right? Does anybody have any questions for me?
The turtle cake was fabulous.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, food was great tonight. Thank you so much. We
All right,
appreciate
fantastic.
it.
Thank you all. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Safe travels home.
Thank you.
Okay, we get another presentation tonight, and it's going to be our CHS choir, and I'm not sure who's introducing or how that's working. Randy or no? No, Sadie is.
Hello. Hi. I'm Sadie Wilson, the choir director. This is my second year here. I brought 2 groups to perform for you tonight. The first one, we only have half of the students. Some are out for sickness, some are out for other reasons. So the first group is my vocal jazz group, and they're going to be singing White Winter Hymnal for you. So, come on in, guys.
yourselves, please?
Okay, I'm Kylie Hale.
I'm Evan McCarty. I'm Aaron Vanover.
And I'm Kim Creech.
Thank you, guys. That was wonderful.
Thank you. Awesome.
My second group is also an a cappella group, and it is the Women's Ensemble. It started actually from an independent study that I had with some students, and so this was their project for this quarter. So.
Ladies, will you introduce yourselves before you begin, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I'm Kylie Smith.
I'm Kayla McKinney.
I'm Lauren McMillan.
Jarrah Stambro.
Eden Judd.
Morgan Kiefaber.
Lauren Carpenter.
Thank you.
Ding a ding a ding. Ding a ding a ding. Ding a ding a ding. Dong ding a ding a ding.
Ding a ding.
Ding a ding a ding. Ding a ding.
Ding a ding ding dong.
Ding a ding
Ding
a
a
ding.
ding ding a ding.
Ding a ding a
Ding a ding ding a ding. Ding a ding
ding a ding.
ding dong. Ding a ding 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 dong. Ding dong ding 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 dong. Ding dong ding 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 dong. Ding dong ding 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 ding. Ding dong ding 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 dong. Ding dong ding 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 dong. Merrily on high the bells ring. Merrily the heavens sing. Merrily on high the bells ring. O'er the earth they ding dong ding. Ding dong ding 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 dong. Ding dong ding 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 ding. Ding dong ding 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 dong. Ding dong ding 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 dong. Ding a ding a ding a ding a ding a ding a ding. Ding a ding a ding dong.
Ding a ding a ding.
Ding dong ding dong.
Ding a ding a ding.
Ding dong
Thank you, Sadie, that was fabulous, we enjoyed it.
Yes. Have a good night.
Okay, can we just go home now?
Yeah.
All right, next up, we have a presentation on the Reading Academy. I guess we're getting that going.
Yeah, we're getting that going. I don't know if I can compete with all of that. But
Are you gonna sing?
no, I'm not gonna sing, and I can't do all of that snapping, so we're just gonna listen to me talk, I guess. Stephanie McCann was going to be here as well to help present the Reading Academy. Unfortunately, she's not feeling well, so she's not able to be here. So we just kind of wanted to take this opportunity to discuss the Reading Academy. It's a new initiative that we have started this year, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this now. Oh, we went too far. Oh well. Anyway, so just to kind of talk about how it started, when we received ESSER monies, we kind of challenged our principals and staffs to kind of think about how can we utilize this money to best meet the needs of our staff and our students, and most importantly, look at that achievement gap that we experienced with the virtual learning and the COVID and the kids not being in the classroom. So that's where this kind of big idea kind of generated from. We heard from a lot of our teachers at the elementary level that we had a significant gap in the area of reading, and our kids were just really struggling. So they wanted more support, more tools in their toolbox on how to teach reading. As you know, we also took the initiative as a district to work collaboratively with EES and doing our ELA mapping and identifying our priority standards. So they all kind of fit well together. So the Reading Academy is designed for our teachers, new teachers, but also teachers with 0 to 5 years of experience. We felt like with the last 2 years of COVID, we weren't able to do a lot of the professional development with some of our newer teachers that we needed to do because of all of the virtual type learning and just the extra demand. So this year we felt like we needed to make that academy a little bit larger. So we did select 0 to 5 year teachers. And you can see the light bulb is kind of all of the things that went into the Reading Academy and how we produced it. So if you look at the first one, it's research. We've been talking, Scott and I, about Marzano since both of us took our positions here, and we both believe in that and feel like it's a solid base of research. It's over 20 years of research. So the art and science of teaching reading is a framework that was designed by Marzano, and it talks about what teachers and kids, how they develop their reading skills and what teachers need to know in order to address those skills. Then we looked at what teachers were saying, and they felt like in the shift of going to curriculum maps and then adopting different textbooks, that we really lost our vision for how do we want our kids to learn to read. So at your tables, you will see this poster. I wanted to get a smaller one, but I wasn't able to find a smaller one. So these are the larger ones. But I think we have used this from the get-go because this is a reminder to all of our teachers and administrators that our vision for excellence in literacy is that we believe the vast majority of children can and will learn to read, and then we are committed to developing skilled readers through a systematic approach that creates equitable experiences for all students, which is why we went with the curriculum mapping. We wanted to make sure whether you go to Grandview Elementary or you go to Everton Elementary or Eastview, that they're getting that guaranteed and viable curriculum at every grade level, and it doesn't matter what the teacher is or what building you're in, that we are guaranteeing that same instruction in all of our buildings. So after we, as a district, teachers, administrators, designed this vision for literacy, then we thought, okay, now how do we roll this out so that we teach all of our teachers how to implement this? So the next part is the data. We looked at, okay, where are we struggling the most with our kids, and where are those achievement gaps standing out to us the most? And what we found after COVID, our kindergarten, first and second grade, our early readers were really behind. They were lacking phonemic awareness, which is that oral language, and we really needed to bump that up. So what we have done is we have adopted Haggerty and Susan Barton which is a framework that allows us to address those phonemic awareness skills. And we also looked at our iLearn data. Wasn't pretty, we presented it to you a couple months ago. It is what it is, but we have to look at what can we do going forward to close those gaps. So looking at the research, looking at the data, and taking this vision, we worked with EES to say we didn't want to keep changing the way we do things every time we adopt a new textbook. It gets to the point where teachers are like, oh great, it's time for another adoption, we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So what we chose to do is this second piece here, which is called Scarborough's Road. This has been around for years. And it is the framework on how kids learn and develop their skills to become skilled readers. So what we are doing with this Reading Academy is we are providing our teachers with professional development around this Scarborough's Road. Then we use our grade level meetings to help our veteran teachers and teachers who have been teaching longer than 5 years to understand this. But if you look at it, the rope is two parts. At the top part you have language comprehension, and the bottom you have word recognition. In order for a kid to be able to be a skilled reader, they have to do all of those skills together. And then as it weaves together, they become skilled readers. If they're lacking in any of those areas, they become struggling readers, and then we as educators have to figure out how to provide interventions for those specific things. And that's a very difficult thing for a new teacher to understand what skill that student is struggling with, and then once they identify that skill, what do I do? How do I fix that? What does the kid need? So this Reading Academy is allowing teachers to understand the systematic approach to teaching reading, and then they are given professional development through a literacy consultant and through EES on how to address those specific areas so that we can, in the end, have skilled readers. Again, the purpose of the Reading Academy is really just to deepen a teacher's understanding, giving them more tools in their toolboxes, and then making sure that we are providing high quality reading instruction. A lot of times when you use a basal program or any kind of curricular program, sometimes you have to make sure that it meets the needs of the kids that you're serving. And with COVID, we've had to really back up and do some reteaching. So this academy has been very critical to that as well. Currently, we have 30 teachers, which is a lot, that have 0 to 5 years of teaching in our 5 elementaries. So we are addressing a large number of teachers in this academy. We kicked it off with Lester Laminack in September 9th. He did an interactive read aloud PD with all of our teachers. And then each month, our teachers participate together in one group with professional development, and then our literacy consultant is now going into all of these teachers' classrooms and modeling, and then they model for her. I feel like this is really going to help our teachers get to where they need to have the comfort and the ability to address some of these achievement gaps that we've experienced with COVID. So this is a brief overview of a very big project, but I just want it to be on your radar because I think it's cutting edge. I don't know of any other school corporations that are doing it. And this was born from the elementary principals and the teachers and their desire. So I think it's a great thing and they deserve that credit. And I just want to make sure that you guys all are familiar with some of the things that we're doing to address that. Any questions?
Kim, I think this is fabulous, particularly for the very, very youngest, the K through 2s. When do we expect, what are our expectations as far as filling in some of those achievement gaps? Because I've read a lot of things, they said, that they say the kids will catch up. Well, they're not going to do that in a year,
Right.
or maybe even 2 years. So, and as I'm looking at this covers K through 6, and are there some benchmarks and milestones that are out there for them and for the teachers to kind of assess?
There is, and part of NWA has also kind of picked up on that, and they have some expected achievement gaps in the scores so that you can line them up to where you're. One thing that we've done is at elementary level, because we realize a lot of those kids missed some of that foundational instruction at second and third, we have bumped our phonics instruction all the way up to sixth grade. So we're teaching what is typically a primary phonics instruction or curriculum all the way through sixth grade, because you have to close those gaps. You can't just keep pushing those kids forward. So hopefully, as we close that gap in our word recognition in the bottom part of our rope, then as they move to that comprehension piece, they're not struggling, because if they don't have a strong foundation, when they get into comprehension, they can't. And even in middle school, we are mapping all of our units, and we're developing short, they're 4-question common formative assessments that teachers can use. They can do it pre and post, so that we're really focusing on those standards that are critical for that course. And we're not getting bogged down by all of the other things that sometimes can be in a store-bought curriculum. So I think it's going to take a long time. I don't think there's anybody at this table that's gonna say, we're gonna fix this in a year. That would be great. But it's gonna take us having intensive interventions with all of our kids for 2 to 3 years before we can even start to see some of the catch up.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, these 0 to 5 teachers, the 0 to 1 and 2, did they not get this kind of education in school?
No, and it's, college is experiencing the same things we are. A lot of it's virtual. A lot of it is they give them a very broad overview of reading. And reading is probably one of the most difficult subjects to teach, especially if you are a K-2 teacher, because you have to understand how the kids develop their skills. And then you have to understand how, when they aren't developing, where those errors occur and how to intervene. And most colleges, they do like a methods of reading, but it's not in this detail. It's not with the Scarborough's rope. We have teachers who have been teaching many years that have not even heard of Scarborough's rope. So this is a new introduction to some of our teachers who have been teaching for a long time. But and I'm gonna get really into my element here, but as cognitive psychologists look at how kids learn to read, they're becoming so much more knowledgeable on that, and so they are allowing it. This is just gives us more research in that systematic approach so that you can duplicate that in terms of instruction, and it's not just throwing darts in the air and hoping that you hit the target. So we just know a lot more about how kids can read, and so with that knowledge, we have to adapt to make sure that we're addressing that.
And, okay, this is gonna show my ignorance, and we have another program going on now where we have instruction for teachers. The one we got into on the state level that we were fortunate to get into, and you're gonna have to remind me when I'm talking about, it's
EES.
Yes,
The EES, the right, yeah, this is all one.
okay,
This is one, like, they introduced this Scarborough's rope to us.
okay.
Because we said, we do not want to keep throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and every time we adopt a new textbook series, we start over with curriculum mapping, we start over with it is exhausting.
Right.
We want to know build it on research, and then as we get new materials and curriculum, we can fold that into research. So they introduced this to us, so we're working side by side with them. They even helped us come up with this vision for literacy. So they have a team of about 5 reading specialists that work with us K-12. They're working with our middle school, they're working with our high school, just a extremely knowledgeable group of people. So yes.
And is it more work for teachers?
No, I don't think it's more work. I think it's just more.
I mean, I want our kids to do this.
Yeah.
I'm just
No,
saying,
I
how
think-
are our teachers
I think if anything,
responding?
they feel like by having a vision, they know, and knowing what we expect, it actually becomes easier because they know what they're supposed to do.
Right.
if you give a new teacher and you say, here you go, and you open all of these resources and you're like, where do I begin?
Right.
So by having the map, I mean, it's like following a recipe, and then having the resources and having those district CFAs, you know, and it allows you to have those conversations with your grade level partner. So I think it makes it way more intentional and easier than looking at it as it's more. Because if anything, it kind of narrows the focus way down and throws out all that unnecessary stuff that can really bog you down.
Because
Great, thank you.
curriculums can become, and having taught for so long, curriculums become overwhelming after a while.
Right. And there's no way you can do it all.
No, there's no way you can do it all. And fundamentally, you know, if there's research that shows if a kid isn't reading about grade level by the time they're at third grade, which is about 8 years old, then they're going to struggle. And to have this construct, I think, is a fabulous way of trying to, we're never going to catch everybody, but we're going to intervene appropriately with more kids, so by the time they get to past third grade, or even sixth grade, or even to high school, they have better tools for themselves
Right.
to learn how to read. Instead of the word that you come to, you just skip it, which is what they do.
Right.
You have some construct of, okay, I can sound this out, I can look at the context clues, I can maybe figure this out myself without completely dismissing it. So this is fabulous.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Kim. Okay, moving on our agenda. I'd like to seek a motion to approve the agenda as submitted and amended.
I so move.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now is an opportunity for public comments on agenda items. Seeing none, move on to the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the minutes from the regular business meeting of 11/9/21, personnel reports, retirements, resignations, leaves of absence, etc. Approval of the November 2021 claims 60580 to 60867. The appointment of Darrell Drew to the Fayette County Area Plan Commission, and the end of year business office procedures. And I'd like to seek a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Lori. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Dennis. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, now we will move on to action items, and we'll begin with the personnel report, Mr. Harris.
Thank you. This is the time of year, usually the personnel reports are getting pretty small. Not true anymore. Recommendations for employment. Recommending Trent Liggett as assistant principal at Connersville High School. Recommending Megan Murray as a Head Start teacher at Little Spartan Preschool. Recommend Kendra Sanders as an elementary music teacher. She's going to be going between 3 buildings, Fayette Central, Grandview, and Eastview, I believe. And Lacey Toshlag as an elementary teacher at Frazee. Moving on to classified staff, a recommendation for Isabel Atkinson, Head Start floating educational assistant. Harley Case as a life skill education assistant at the high school. Sarah Friend as a Head Start health assistant at Little Spartan. Kristen Goins as Head Start nutrition bus assistant, Little Spartan. Kelsey Jenkins as a Head Start floating education assistant. Kayla McClure as a Head Start floating education assistant. Nicole Murray as a special education assistant at Eastview. John Reynolds as a student success coach at Grandview. Morgan Rosas as a developmental preschool education assistant at Little Spartan. Chanel Sebring as a Head Start floating assistant at Little Spartan. Seth Spurlock, aftercare at Everton. Alicia Williams as a bus aide for transportation. Extracurricular, Kevin Cassidy, head wrestling coach at Connersville Middle School. Stephen Kiefaber as varsity girls swim coach at Connersville High School. Joey Seidel as freshman boys basketball coach at Connersville High School. Also have included in the package recommendation for approval of classified staff and administrative staff paid performance pay stipend and base salary increase. Recommending the teacher appreciation grant with the local funding to add the 25% to the effective teachers to match the highly effective. Recommendation for life skills instruction assistant pay increase. And finally, recommendation to increase the pay for bus drivers on field trips, which would take them from, right now they're at $12.50 when they're driving and $10, or $7.50 when they're sitting, to take them to $15 while they're driving and $10 while they're sitting in an event. So I would recommend approval of those personnel items.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to seek a motion to approve the personnel report.
I so moved.
Thanks, Ann. Do I hear a second?
Move a second.
Thanks, Jeremy. Any discussion?
Randy, do we have all of our positions filled right now?
I haven't checked my email, but we do not have everything a little Spartan. We have educational assistant openings and multiple things, and I know
Little Spartan
Kelly's back there.
preschool is our toughest challenge.
That's the toughest one, and you can see how much Kelly's been doing.
Oh, yeah.
Continually. Yes. So, no, we do not have, we still have openings, we still have, we're still looking for applicants for openings that may be coming open, so.
Be thankful for the ones that we have.
Absolutely.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, the approval to purchase CHS fans, Mr. Harris.
The next, I think 2 or 3 things. I ought to have Mr. Drew come up here, but we have a few things. Some of the major items, and again, bringing these back, just a reminder that if items are over $25,000, we bring them to the board for pre-approval. The first one there, we have 4 exhaust fans, which are very loud, very noisy, not always working in the high school gymnasium. So I'm requesting approval to purchase 4 exhaust fans with variable frequency drives for the high school. Purchase that through North Mechanical Contracting and Services at a cost of $38,265.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to seek a motion to approve the CHS fans.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Mark. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chris. Any discussion?
No more rattles in that gym?
There may be a bad shot that rattles a rim or something or another, but hopefully we take care of the fan issue, yes.
The din from the fans will be gone?
Yes.
Thank you.
It wouldn't be a gym if we didn't have some of those noises.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Okay, let's see. Did I get a motion and a second?
Yes.
Losing myself here. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, approval to purchase the CHS library carpet.
I think this is going to be the last major purchase of the high school library, but I am requesting approval to accept a quote from Wholesale Carpets for $56,400, which will be used to tear out the old carpet in the high school library and replace it with new. Some things in the past, I think it was the last meeting, we purchased furniture for in there that we are waiting for delivery. We've painted all of the walls in there. We've resealed the windows to stop some leakage. And we're definitely looking to upgrade the library, and this is the last major step in that. And hopefully they're going to be able to get this completed at Christmas time.
Great. All right, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the purchase of the CHS library carpet.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Lori. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I saw Dennis first, so I'll take Dennis a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Back to Mr. Harris for approval of the purchase of boilers for Everton Elementary.
The next one really came up. We knew we had an issue with one of the boilers kicking off and not working properly. My hope was that we were going to be able to wait until summertime. It won't wait. So right now our maintenance staff is doing a phenomenal job keeping things going. And with weather like today, the boiler really isn't a huge issue. But as soon as we probably get those December temperatures down in the teens and below, we need to get this one fixed as quick as we can do it. So I asked for quotes on this. We've received 3. separate quotes, but the lowest quote, and honestly, the company that really does the majority of our HVAC work in the district, I'm requesting approval to accept the quote of $178,852 from North Mechanical to replace both of the boilers at Everton. So they will work and change both of them out, update that, and this would be purchased using the ESSER funds, which, as we've also talked about over and over, one of the main things for air quality and those kind of things, ESSER funds can be used for.
Mr. Harris, do we have a time frame for getting that done?
6 to 8 weeks is the estimate on how long it's going to get the equipment, which honestly, looking at some of the stuff we've been purchasing, that's pretty reasonable today, but it will not happen next week.
Pray for warm weather.
We're gonna limp by until it gets there.
Yep.
We went down Monday and we thought we were enough to still.
So do you have one boiler that's working fairly well?
No, we have one more that's working.
You only have one, is there one boiler in the building?
Two.
Two.
There's one that's been down for a while.
Oh, okay. So that's why we
We're
were,
limping already.
We're limping already, the last one. So what's our contingency plan?
And we're 7 weeks out, so
Okay.
we're moving on that. So I'll call him tomorrow. He's gonna put a rush on it. We had to leave it in manual for a while. We got that adjusted. We can go back to auto. So we're limping by.
We can keep a guy on it to keep
Yes,
it living.
yeah.
We can baby it to get it through, but it's not long-term.
So we're gonna be able to keep it to where we keep students in the building?
Yes, we absolutely believe so.
We just may have to have somebody there on the cold days to really make sure it's functioning well. Right?
Yes, we're gonna do everything we can.
That's why we moved it.
I think we'll be all right with it.
yeah, sure.
We gotta push this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, thank you. Okay, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the purchase of the boilers for Everton Elementary.
Madam President, I'll make that.
Thank you, Chris. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, school board policy waiver of the second reading, the policy 5.40 on child abuse and neglect.
Right. Sometimes I ask you to do a waiver of the second reading, just because it's a minor change, or it's one that's really dictated by state guidelines. And the memo that Kim provided to me outlines that she worked closely with our schools on any cases of suspected abuse or neglect. So there's really just one piece that with the language change, anyone is required to report. It's not up to a designated reporter. So that obligation falls on any school employee now. And we just needed to make the change with that. And then also the documenting of that on electronic forms. This policy has not been updated for a while. So those are the only two changes. So what I'm going to ask from you is for us to update this to align with Indiana code is first to have a motion and a second to waive the second reading.
Okay.
And then to go ahead and approve the policy change for board policy 5.40. So there will be two actions here.
Okay, I have a question. So I know in the past, if a teacher heard something, they were to report to the principal, and then the principal made the report. Is the teacher still to report to the principal? I'm assuming so.
Yes, and we've been doing this, it just the policy needed to be changed to align with that. So typically, Kim could speak to that, but let's say a child reports something to one of the teaching assistants. The teaching assistant will most generally go to that person, but then they may make the call with them.
We're just, all of us as educators are mandatory reporters. Therefore, there can't be a delay in the reporting. And so if you have to go to someone and ask them, now, if you are reporting, we still want the principal to be aware of that, and that's why we have the form. But it used to be that you could go to the principal, and then the principal would report it. But now by Indiana code, we're all mandatory reporters, and therefore it is required that you report immediately.
Right.
If you might remember a while back, it was over in Northwest Hendricks, there was a situation where a female athlete student had some situations that were reported to a couple of employees, and there was a failure to report, which was really sad, detrimental to that young lady. And so there's definitely that's something we stress to our staff, we're all required reporters.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and then the documentation with that.
All right, okay. So first, I'd like to seek a motion to waive the second reading of the school board policy.
I so moved.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next, I'd like to seek a motion to revise the policy 5.4, child abuse and neglect, or to accept the revision of the policy. Okay.
Make that motion.
All right. Thank you. Ann, any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, approval of the 2022 school board meeting calendar.
I shared that with you in your board packets. The dates mirror pretty much it follows what our guidelines are with having the meeting on the second Tuesday of each month. One question just one thing I would bring to your attention on November 8th, that is election day. However, our meeting occurs after the polls have closed, so decided to keep that where it was at. Everything else pretty much falls within that time period. We do have some early meetings. If you look at February, March, they do fall as soon as possible pretty much in the month. So we will have some early meetings in there at the beginning of the year. But everything else is pretty much the same following that timeline. So I submit this to you for approval for 2022.
All right, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the 2022 school board meeting calendar.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Lori. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thanks, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the professional services agreement, Mr. Cohen.
Thank you. You were copied in your packets an agreement from Michelle Cooper. Been very pleased with her support through a lot of different issues over the years, and I would like to recommend that we retain her as the board attorney for 2022. Her retainer is unchanged, her monthly retainer, and I think we're all very pleased with her responsiveness to us and support in tricky situations, so I would ask you to approve that.
Thank you. I'd like to seek a motion to approve Michelle's professional service agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Mark. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, discussion items. We've got the return to school plan 2021-22. Ms. Corsaro.
Okay, we are now required to review our return to school plan 2 times a year, once in June and then again in December. So tonight I'm bringing back our plan. We have not made any changes to the plan since the governor has continued with his mask recommendation. So currently our plan is on our webpage for parents and for anyone to view. We continue to the mask mandate and as well as the cleaning and doing all the things that we feel necessary to make sure that we're keeping our kids as safe as possible. We have had an uptick of cases in our schools and in our community, so we continue to work diligently with our custodians, our administrators, and our health department to make sure that we are doing that contact tracing, and we are making sure that when we do have identified cases that we're doing extensive cleaning in those classrooms to make sure that we are meeting everything in our reopening plan. So I just wanted to bring that to you tonight to let you know that we are at this point continuing forward with the one that we approved in September. And then this is just our review of it based on our requirement.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, next item is public comments. Persons wishing to make the board aware of suggestions, ideas, or comments may address the board at this time. Comments which involve personnel or students must be discussed in private. Seeing none, we'll move on to the superintendent's discussion groups reports. Seeing none of those, principal director's reports. Okay.
We're moving.
Director of operations report. Assistant superintendent report. Holy moly. Of course you did.
I'm feeling the love.
Yes.
Yes, I know how you feel. Daryl, I just want to first say thanks to Daryl and his team. And, there are a lot of people in our district who do a lot of things that our kids have no idea, all the behind the scenes things that happen. And, if you follow the news, one area, with transportation, bus drivers, a shortage across our nation. And, as we were looking at how we were responsive to our decline in enrollment and our budgetary needs, something that as Daryl and I were working on, he was giving me some data I had asked for, that in the last 5 years, we've eliminated 10 bus routes. And part of that is through having the TransFinder program, rerouting, finding ways to be more efficient, but 10 bus routes. And it's a good thing we did, because we wouldn't have those 10 bus drivers, because we are hanging on, and I think you have one in the pipeline right now, don't you? That is getting
Right now.
two. Okay, we have a couple, but we are going to be stepping up our efforts to try to recruit more drivers, and how can we be more competitive? But the pool of people out there is just not in most of our positions. But, I think back, we had a bus accident. I notified you of that Saturday, driving kids down to East Central, our swimmers, and that's the heavy winds, and a limb hit our windshield, and those windows are designed not to shatter in, but still, a big limb hit our bus, and that driver kept control of the bus, everyone was safe, and another bus was sent out to transport the kids on. But just all that we ask of our drivers, I want to really recognize them, because that's not an easy job. I've never done it, but I can't imagine how stressful it is to have 40, 50 kids on the bus and watching for their safety. So I just want to recognize our maintenance and transportation departments. So, and then I want to say great job to our kiddos. We do have money in the budget for drums, so that was all.
My God, my chest hurt just watching.
I was sore from watching it, but that's pretty cool. I think that shows the talent we have in our schools, and I commend our fine arts programs for their work with their kids. So, Merry Christmas to everyone if I don't see you.
Before I get to the good of the cause on the transportation, I told Scott that I have been doing this school board president roundtable every quarter, and the discussion this time was on how to get bus drivers. And, some corporations have gone to e-learning some days when they can't get drivers. And some school corporations are offering to teacher assistants and aides and teachers to get them to drive buses. And 3 of the corporations in the region, it was either region 3 or 6, were 6, but had some success with that, and I had let Scott know, and he said he'd already considered all of that. And but that's just the lengths, and just like I think Lou's driven a bus, and I don't know if Daryl has.
Out every day.
Lou has driven a bus every day this week. Greg has been on
Our mechanics.
most days because we have a few off still.
Right, and that's what they were saying too, is that their transportation people in the office are all driving buses. So we're not alone. We're doing better than many. Yeah, that we even have 2 in the pipeline is a
We actually
big
had
deal.
double routes and routes last week.
Wow.
Drop and go, so it worked. We were a few minutes late, but not bad.
It's just something else. So yeah, I mean, again, we are so fortunate.
We are so fortunate we do it ourselves, because speaking from the perspective of someone who has had to wait for someone who had a private bus system taking their kids back and forth, you wait a very, very long time, and for extracurriculars and all that good kind of stuff. And you just know that from this particular city, which on the east side of us that shall remain nameless, if we're going to play them, they're going to be late, because they have privatized their bus system, and it just isn't working well at all. The kids aren't getting to school on time in a lot of places, and particularly for their extracurriculars, it's incredibly difficult. If they have a 5:30 game, you're lucky to see them by 10 to 6.
How do we do in getting our bus drivers to take the extracurriculars?
It's a struggle. There's a lot of people that didn't want to do it for the cost we had. I mean, stepping that up with all you guys' help in making that's going to help a lot. I've got a couple that are dedicated. They drive through no matter what. You can say, hey, you're going to do it for free, they'd go.
Wow.
I mean, we have some really dedicated people, but we've had to push back till we can't get out till 4:15. I mean, and fortunately, we got drivers that will say, hey, I'll go anywhere you want me to go. So it's working, but.
Well, I hope if anybody's listening tonight and they're interested in driving a bus.
Absolutely, call Randy Harris.
Call Randy.
Absolutely.
That's good. All right. For the good of the cause. Anybody have anything they want to share tonight? Well, sir?
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting, to
And do I hear a second? Perkins, thank you very much. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And we adjourn.